مساء الخير. بنحب نرحب بيكم في نقدر نقول أول إيفنت في ICW 2023، وبيشرفنا يكون معانا كوتش رانيا أبو رابيا معاكم، ومعانا كمان محمد مصطفى أو محمد إبراهيم. هو
محمد
النهارده
مصطفى.
بيفولنتير يكون معانا as a client. أنا شيماء تيسير ICF Egypt Chapter Board Member و Membership Committee Director. النهارده بنبدأ مع بعض في احتفالات بقى ال 25th Anniversary بتاع ال ICW بانيشيتيف جديدة لأول مرة في المينا ريجن، وهي عبارة عن زي لقاء. هو في الحقيقة سموه MCC MENA كوتشثون، جايه من ماراثون علشان نقابل فيه يعني خبراء من الكوتشز في المينا ريجن. هي الام سي سي مينا كوتشثون دي اول واحده من نوعها، وبدانا الانيشيتيف دي على تو هايلايت الكوتشنج اكسلنس، وده هيحصل through series of live coaching demos. هتبقى بتتقدم من ماستر كوتشز مختلفين على مستوى المينا ريجن، وهي هدفها انه احنا to insight together المينينج بتاع الترانسفورميشن جورني. وطبعا مش هنقدر ننسى انه البروفاوند سايلنس بريزنس دي واحده من المين بيلرز انه احنا نقدر نكمل الجورني بتاعتنا ونريتش الترانسفورميشن. النهارده هيكون معانا في الرحله بتاعتنا we'll navigate together with master coach رانيا أبو رابيا with the active silence. master coach رانيا هي post ICF Egypt chapter president، وكمان global senior faculty membership ICF credential coaching programs. ومش كده وبس، هي كمان executive leadership coach وتيم ترانسفورميشن وكينوت سبيكر، وعندها خبرة أكتر من 30 سنة في الإكزيكتيف وأكتر من 6500 ساعة في الكوتشنج. و I got inspired by رانيا علشان هي بتقول إنه her mission is to help make the world a more human place, one change catalyst at a time. What else, Rania?
Thank you, Ashimi. Very humbling introduction. Thank you. أبدأ؟
The floor is yours.
Thank you. طيب أولاً I'd like to start by welcoming everyone to this first, for me at least, first event of its kind. I want to thank again Mohammed for volunteering to jump in as the coach, as the client who's going to be coached النهارده. Before we jump into the coaching demo, I'd like to take a few minutes to speak about the power of active silence. What does it mean? Why is it difficult? And what does it bring to the coaching space? عادة, especially in our cultures, when we look at silence, we look at silence as empty. It's either awkward or it's difficult to be with, or it creates a space where we're not 100% comfortable. And we tend in general in our normal conversations to fill silence with noise, whether it's chatter, whether it's jumping in, whether it's trying to say something just so we're not sitting in no space. Whereas if we go back to the essence of coaching, the one thing that coaching brings to a client's space that no other intervention brings is the ability to sit with yourself in a space of profound learning. Because you're not someone who needs healing, you're not someone who needs saving, you're not someone who needs direction, you're simply someone who wants to develop yourself north of normal from where you are to becoming either a better version of yourself, a more evolved or a more developed version of yourself. And into that space comes a coach who tries to create a space for you that is profoundly sacred, for you to learn more about yourself, for you to connect more with yourself, for you to accept yourself more, for you to face yourself, whether it's face what you don't want to face, whether it's face the stories you tell yourself, whether it's to face the challenges that you have and create a space where you can learn more about yourself. As coaches, and since most of the room today at least is coaches, let me speak about our journey into becoming the most profound version of ourselves as coaches. I believe most of us enter coaching with an intention to serve, somehow to be of service, to help, to be there for others. And usually, regardless of how long we spend in that first stage, but our first stage is usually about, how am I doing? Am I being in service? Am I asking the right question? Am I pausing enough? Am I noticing the client's body language? Am I picking up on the right words? Am I seeing the emotions? It's very much focused on me and my performance and my ability to be in service, which is why the biggest trap we fall into when we're in this part of our coaching journey is coaching the topic rather than the client. Because we want to serve so much that we somehow want to help the client solve their topic. Now, when we're in that stage of our journey, silence is a really awkward space, because if we're silent, then we're not really doing anything. We're not really helping. We're not really, and a lot of coaches ask themselves, so if I don't have the right question to ask, then how am I really helping the client? How am I really serving the client? What am I getting paid for even as a coach? When we evolve from that stage into the next stage, where we start letting go of what we do as a coach, but connecting more to my being as a coach. How am I showing up? Am I being the best version of myself? Am I being in service? Am I truly trusting the process? Am I truly trusting the client? Am I truly being vulnerable? Then it's a lot more about our being as coaches and allowing our clients to be the best version of themselves. In that space, or in that stage of our journey as coaches, we look at silence probably as a healing space. So we try to create silence that is very empathetic, soft, holding the client with arms of empathy, with arms of positive acknowledgement, positive reinforcement, making the client feel safe, making the client feel held, and making the client feel that everything will be okay. So in a way, motivating the client to feel that, no matter what, you can solve your challenge, you can create a better space for yourself, you can move forward, you can see a solution, you can come out of whatever challenge you have in a better place. When we evolve beyond that to mastery level, now mastery level, I'm not here talking about being a mastery certified coach or even the number of hours, but just fully trusting the coaching process, letting go of the process and being truly in full belief of holding the process, coaching and the client big. When we reach that stage, then we realize it's not about me at all. It's not about my doing and it's not about my being. I'm there to create the space for the client to evolve. Now that space is a space which is full of learning. It's a space where the client is almost in a relationship with themselves, having conversations with themselves they wouldn't dare have outside of that coaching space, really facing themselves, really holding themselves accountable, really holding themselves big and up to whatever they need to face. So it's a space where wisdom evolves, learning evolves, intuitive listening comes up. And that's where you really ask the questions that the answers are not available until the questions are heard. When we speak about levels of listening and coaching as a competence, when we speak about levels of questioning, even when we speak about levels of intuition, those levels only come from that level. And for that to happen, that's where you create a space of where silence is truly profound. And that's when you realize that, if you're able to distill from the noise, all the chatter, whether it's the chatter in the client's head, or whether it's the chatter that the client is getting from the outside world, or whether it's the chatter of what the client believes needs to happen or should happen, whether it's the chatter of the judgments that are created in the space, and just creating a space where the client is able to be, where the client is able to be mindful of everything, of all the emotions that they're facing, whether they're painful emotions or whether they're happy emotions, being mindful of how they're showing up and the impact that they're creating in every relationship that they have. And a space of polarity between being truly empathetic and holding the space, and also challenging the client to not really believe the story that they tell themselves about themselves. So holding themselves truly up to being big, being the best version of themselves, being the most human version of themselves. In that space is the kind of silence where a lot of us face it in relationships, where I can be sitting with someone I'm comfortable with. We can sit for hours in silence and not feel like it's awkward, not feel like we need to say anything or we need to fill that space. That's the kind of silent presence that if you give to the coaching space, you're actually bringing a gift to that space. One of the things that we fail to forget as coaches, we fail to remember as coaches, we forget a lot, is when clients come to us, they probably have already been with their whatever challenge that they bring a long time. They've explored it, they've questioned themselves, they've asked themselves, they've spoken to other people, they've tried a lot of things. And at a point, they're either stuck or they need inspiration. And our role is to create a space where they kind of see their relationship, themselves, the systems that are around the challenge and the relationship from a 7D perspective. Now that space requires a lot of generative silence, a lot of profound, sacred being with whatever is in the space, whatever really wants to happen. What stands in the way? I mean, it sounds simple enough, it sounds probably inspiring enough, but then what gets in the way, I found, at least in my own experiences, my own relationship with silence. A lot of us are not comfortable sitting even with ourselves in silence. Whether it's because we're action-oriented and we need to get things done, whether it's we're already coming into the coaching space from being professional and knowing what to do, and we're suddenly asked to sit back, let go, trust the process, and not really do much except allow the client to sit with themselves. Or we don't like silence because when we sit in silence, we are uncomfortable in our own silence. So one of the things I'd like you to reflect on just before we jump into the coaching demo is, what's your own relationship with silence? And if you are comfortable with silence, what kind of silence do you think you can bring to your coaches, to your clients, to yourselves in the space where you allow the intuition of whatever is coming out of the client, the emotions of the client, the fears of the client, the thoughts of the client, the relationships and their impact on the space, to really guide both of you to where you really need to focus. So if I'm going to summarize my suggestion to each of us as coaches today is, if we want to bring the gift of powerful silent presence to our client, then remember, silence is a sacred space where we allow whatever wants to happen, where we listen and really touch on what's there, not what we want to be there, not what we feel is there, not what we expect to be there, not how we're going to be there, but just to be with that serenity of really, really noticing everything that's happening. Truly listening to the unspoken, seeing with the eyes of another, hearing with the ears of another. In a way, it's truly listening, not just to the client, not just to the fears of the client, what's under the iceberg, but deeper than that, what's really, really, really generatively going on. In that space, we are both able to be vulnerable. In that space, it's a space where to get to it, and it reminds me a lot of diving into the deep ocean. At a point in time, the water is heavy. At a point in time, it's difficult. But then you reach a space where you flow with effortless ease. You almost feel like there's no pressure whatsoever on either of you. And in that space, when the client is really ready to see, then that's where you can really bring the gift of powerful silence, where actively the client reflects. And I think what helps me at least is reminding myself that it's not about me. It's not about my performance as a coach. It's not about how many hours I've done. It's not about what impact I want to leave. It's simply about being there for the client as they explore themselves and meet themselves in the way that they want. With that, I'm going to jump into our coaching demo. Before I do that, I want to say a few things. Mohammed, he volunteered to jump in. I know him very well. We've been together in several coaching journeys. I felt very grateful actually when I discovered he was going to be my client. And I chose consciously, in agreement with Mohammed, not to ask even what topic he's bringing. So it's not a stage demo by any sense. I have no idea what topic he's bringing. My intention for myself and for Mohammed and for all of you is to bring a space of learning. So we will flow with whatever happens. I truly trust whatever wants to happen in the room. Mohammed, thank you for volunteering, knowing that it's usually we say the session is confidential, knowing it's not a confidential session, knowing it is going to go wherever it goes. So thank you for volunteering and jumping in. Thank you for allowing.
Rania. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for trusting me to also flow. Let's. What I'm going to ask, I see most of you have your cameras off already. Just for the purposes of the demo, if we can, everyone please switch off your cameras and your mics. I will go on for 30 to 40, 45 minutes, however long the session takes us, and then we'll leave space for reflections, questions, and sharings as well. Thank you all. Mohammed, thank you for volunteering to be with us today. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for trusting the process and trusting me as well. I don't take it for granted.
All the way.
Thank you. Before we jump into the demo, I'm aware you're a coach. We've been in coaching journeys before, so I'm going to assume that you know what coaching is. I'm going to assume you know what to expect. So my only design alliance with you will be to ask you, what do you need from me or from the space to feel comfortable?
I don't believe I need anything from the space. From you, just like you mentioned that we know each other for quite a long time right now. So just be yourself, which is very much welcoming. I just need to take something out of my head. I'm taking this session from the cellular phone, not from a computer. So if for any unexpected reason I received a phone call, I'll just cancel the call and be back to the meeting. So this is something just to take it out of my head.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward.
And if there's anything that you decide during the session that you need to bring back as a design alliance, I trust that you will do that. I'm also just reminding myself that while this is a demo and we are being observed by whoever is observing us in the moment, I am with you and I am fully in service of whatever you want to bring. Trusting the process and looking forward to whatever this demo will bring. And just designing alliance with you that it is a demo, so when 30 minutes are about to come to an end, we will kind of try to find a closing for the session, regardless of where we are at the moment of your challenge. And is this okay with you?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I'm ready whenever you are. Tell me, where would you like to start?
Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to work on is my boundaries, the boundaries in the relationship, especially when it comes to boundaries in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
the relationship that evolves from the work, whether it is with the superiors, my manager or my line manager, or with my colleagues. I don't believe I set fixed boundaries, or let's say clear boundaries. I believe that I need to work on this in a better way. So this is what I'm trying to explore, how to reach there.
Okay. So if we work on the subject of boundaries, by the end of the 30 minutes, what would be a good outcome?
I'm not expecting, just like you mentioned, it's only 30 minutes or 40 minutes demo, so I'm not expecting something huge. Maybe I'm expecting, why do I go easy with my boundaries? Why don't I take it serious? What's the reason behind this?
And I'm curious to find out, I'm assuming this is a challenge for you. So if you had the right boundaries in place, what would be better about your relationships at work?
Okay. It would be much more easy to say no when it crosses the boundaries, or when it even gets close to the boundaries. So it will be way easier than it is right now to say no. And this will make me feel, what do I say? In a way, protecting myself.
Okay. So boundaries for you are a space where you are able to protect yourself.
In a way, yes. Yes, it is.
And what would you like to explore related to that? Where would you like to start?
How would I be if I protected myself in that way, saying no, or even respecting my boundaries? How can I do that? Why in the first place, maybe even before the first 2 points, why am I not respecting my boundaries, or am I not putting the boundaries as a priority in my relationships? Maybe this is the main thing. Why am I not putting the boundaries as a priority? Why am I not bringing this thing up? Why am I not taking it lightly? Why am I making myself available most of the time for whatever task that has no owner? This is the parameter that I'm talking about.
It's interesting, while you're talking and you're holding your hands up, I almost see you seeing certain situations and questioning yourself.
Yes, sure, true, 100% true. Yes, and basically, it's all related to the work environment. So,
tell me a little bit more about boundaries in the work environment. What for you are boundaries in the work environment?
Okay. What I mean by boundaries in the work environment is the ability to say, no, it's not my job, when it is not my job. It's not my job, but I'm gonna do it for the sake of whatever, for the sake of being noticed, for the sake of having a tick in front of your name, for the sake of getting promoted, for the sake of, even if it's not your job. For the sake of fitting in. Okay. Yes, maybe this is one thing that fitting in, especially when I joined the company that I'm working in right now 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years ago. But when I first joined this company, I used to take several jobs that are not mine, and never said, no, this is not my job, and never brought to the space that I should be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and not doing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I never did this, and actually, I don't do it till now. But it came easier by the time.
And if I ask you to describe a space where the boundaries are fully they're in the right place, I'm able to say no, it's not about ticking the box, where would you be?
I really am not sure how to answer this question. I don't have a specific answer to this. I'm trying to figure out where am I keeping my boundaries clear. I'm really not sure about this, really.
Okay. What are you saying as you say that?
I visualize myself in the middle of some space without any boundaries. Unprotected. I don't like saying no. This is what comes to my mind right now, that I don't like saying no when someone asks me something. In whatever context, by the way, not only in the work.
You mentioned there are 2 words that you keep bringing up: being protected, saying no. Being protected, saying no. Yes. Those are 2 words that seem to resonate a lot with you when it comes to boundaries.
Yes, definitely. And to be more specific, I've met some people earlier that knows how to say no, and they were extremely impressive for me, that they have the ability to say no, and it's okay. They have the ability to say it's not my job, or we will not do it that way, or I will not do this, and they can be professional. And they are protected. They protect their own mental health, even by saying no.
I really acknowledge that this seems to be a topic you've been really profoundly reflecting on. There's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
So what's Muhammad's relationship with saying no?
This is a very good question. I'm not saying that I'm a people pleaser, but I don't like to upset people when they ask something, so that I say no. I always think about it as we're here to help each other. We are in this world, we are living to help each other, to be there for each other, to stand for each other. This is in the core of the idea. So when someone asks me something, there is no option for no. Maybe it's yes, or maybe it's yes after a while. So if we have the options listed, there are no. There is no.
There's no
So,
button for no.
yes. Maybe in a while, maybe after some time, maybe yes, directly, maybe searching for some other solution, but there is definitely no no's.
And
And I think the no button should be added, needs to be added actually. Yes. It needs to be added in a very respectful way, in a very assertive way. It needs to be an option.
you visualize the space you mentioned a while ago with no as one of the options. What's the space going to be like?
There will be some fences protecting me in this open space. I'll be surrounded by some fences. Distance, not so close. Distance, there is a distance between me and the fence. And this will be known as my personal space. And I believe it should be green.
Tell me more about that.
I don't know why in the first place that I visualized myself standing in a green open space. At the first place it was without fences. Then after putting that no option, there are some wooden fences surrounding the place, protecting me from the invasions. And I'll not be busy watching the outsiders and trying to escape from them. I'd rather be busy enjoying the greenery I'm surrounded with, as I'm not afraid from anything that's coming, as the no or the fence is really protecting me. So the energy will shift, will totally shift actually from all the time trying to push the danger or the dangers coming from outside to the to focusing on what's here. Mindful focusing.
Mindful focusing.
Yeah, sure.
And how do you feel in that space about your relationships at work?
I'll be enjoying my work, doing it with the totally different energy. Totally different energy. I'll be welcoming what lies in my territory, and pushing back assertively what is not mine.
But what does Muhammad need from Muhammad for that space to exist? Truly.
To keep reminding myself that it's actually mandatory to say no from time to time. Not only it's a good thing or it's something, no, it's mandatory to practice saying no.
Oh. As you were saying that, I was visualizing your no option button going all the way to the top of the list.
Maybe after reminding myself every day. Yes. Yes, sure. I don't know why I remembered right now that there is a book called How to Say No. I read something like this before. How to say no. Yes, I need to keep reminding myself that no is a very good option. Is requested and is mandatory to be said from time to time when it is not yours. It's not mine.
What do you need to say more often?
I need to say that it's okay and I'm enough and it's gonna be fine. Eventually it's gonna be fine. Even after saying no, it's gonna be fine. And to keep reminding myself that الأمور تجري بمقادير. So it's always good to say no when it's not yours.
So I'm curious, if I meet Muhammad who trusts in no, who says no, who believes in himself, and who has this green space around him where he is really focusing, where are you going to be if I meet you a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now?
Let's talk about a year. Where I'm going to be, actually, I don't think that I'm going to be anywhere different as in place, but I'm gonna be in a very different mental state. I'd be adopting a very different mindset. Actually, it popped out to my mind right now that saying no may be one of the clues that can lead you to the abundance mindset. Or maybe it's a result from adopting the abundance mindset. Yes, it's a result. Sure, the result.
Result. How do you feel now?
Way better than we have started. Way better. Regarding the topic itself, I feel like it's clearer. It's not vague anymore. It's okay to say no.
So it's clear, not vague. It's okay to say no. What else are you seeing? Where are the boundaries? Are they where you want them to be?
I need to work on them, to be honest. I need to work on them. It will require serious work. But the outcome is relieving and very much relaxing.
So if we walk away from this session with one learning and one action point, what would they be?
The learning I feel that there is a message popping up to protect yourself. You need to set boundaries. A simple message. And the action point is definitely is related to the no word. Maybe at the morning routine each day, I remind myself to say no today. It's okay. I'll give myself a permission to say no. Clear no, not I don't know how to get it, but not it could be no or it could be another thing. No, it's a no.
من غير مماية يعني.
بالظبط كده. بالظبط كده.
And you had mentioned this was something you face not just at work, but boundaries in all of your relationships. So if Muhammad adopted the philosophy of to protect myself, I need to set clear boundaries, and to set clear boundaries, I need to be comfortable with saying a very affirmative and grounded no. How will this affect the quality of your life?
Actually, what came to my mind when visualizing this happening is that I don't know why did this jump into my mind, but the thing that jumped to my mind that I'll be teaching my kids to say no if I do this. If I don't do this, they will not see their caregiver saying no, so they will not be able to do it when they grow up. So it's not only for me.
Wow. I see you seeing yourself as, in a way, I want to become that role model for my children. No?
Yeah.
Ahmed, how are you with related to your challenge?
What challenge that we're talking about?
What you wanted
How
to
am
reach
I?
by the end of this session?
I guess that it's clear right now. I'm very much satisfied with what we've reached right now. Actually, I didn't think that we were gonna open at this whole scene, but yes, it's profound, and it's real. And thank you. You have done it quite amazingly.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else from me before we close the session?
Just thank you from the very bottom of my heart.
Thank you. And I acknowledge your vulnerability. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So back to back to all of us, whoever of you would like to open your cameras. And this is the time for you guys to share your insights, questions, and I guess Shaimaa, you will be moderating it. So let us know.
Thank you very much for such an insightful session. We have so far one question from Hanafi. How much silence is enough?
The $1 million question that action-oriented people, only action-oriented people would ask.
Well, good evening, Ms.
Hello,
Rania.
So good to see
Well,
you.
it has been a very long time since we've met last time. Shiku, you're a wonderful person. Thank you for all your WhatsApp messages. They are buzzing 24/7, which is good, connecting with us. Yani, feel proud of yourself.
I'm proud. I'm proud.
Yes. And thank the rest
only
of the...
for the WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, and thanks for the rest of the audience. And Muhammad Mustafa, thank you for your vulnerability. Really appreciated. I've learned a lot from this very brief session of 25 minutes, though we were promised to be 45 minutes in advance, but this is acceptable. Yes.
Rania is a very clever. Yes, Rania is very clever to solve it in 25 minutes.
Yeah, actually, while you were talking, أنا جيت طبعا متأخر. I came late. I'm sorry, مش عارف. I don't know whether there are lots of people who are foreigners or non-Arabic speakers, but let me speak in English. I came late. What I could take is really rich, and thank you. The first question came to my mind, and this happens in different situations. How much silence is enough where I need to ignite the client or the coachee to speak? Actually, it's not ignite, it's spare. Yeah, please wake up, we're there. Especially when the preset mind of us, the Egyptians, it's my assumption about the Egyptians that we do not like the vacuum silence,
awkwardness of the nothingness in the space.
Coming to a profile like mine, sorry to interrupt. This is my last statement, and then I will stop. Coming to a profile like mine with a lengthy experience of training and English instructions, where my ego of the knowledgeable person who knows it and who knows it all, sometimes when there is silence, I feel, well, this is not good. I need to intervene and prove that I'm there. I'm the one for you. So these are my concern or my questions or queries. Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you for what you shared, because this aligns exactly with what I was mentioning at the very beginning. Is we look at silence from where we are as coaches. And there is a space and a time in our I guess relationship with coaching where we feel like, if I'm silent, then what am I really adding? My answer to your question, I think I have two answers. One of them is, your real response will come from the space. When the space really has been dried out, that's the time to jump in. So your answer will come from, it's like you're creating an open space for the client to reflect with themselves, to challenge themselves, to listen to their own thoughts and ideas. It's like I'm bringing whatever is in my head out in front, and I'm reflecting on it with my coach, seeing it, exploring it, experimenting with it, maybe retidying it, reshuffling it, and so on. As long as the space is generative and fertile, then silence is probably the most profound thing you can do. Once the space is dry, and for it to become a learning space again, it needs you to help bring some kind of inspiration into the space. That's when you jump in the question. So first of all, the answer will come from the space, not from you, not from the client, but actually from the space. My other response would be, we meet clients where they are. So it's not about me. I know Muhammad quite well. I know Muhammad's energy. I could sense Muhammad's relationship with the topic. So I was kind of holding back. If I meet someone who is much more action oriented, or who is more in their head than in the reflected space, then their need for silence will be in a very different place from someone else who is by nature reflective, who is by nature an emotional rather than a person who's very much sitting in their emotional space. Sometimes it's the topic that guides the level of silence that is needed. Before I would reflect on that, I'd go back and ask myself, what's my relationship with silence? Because if I am not okay with silence, then I will keep questioning, what am I really adding? Is it okay? Once I'm able to not even worry about the silence and really be fully 100% in the space, that's when the answer will come. And by the way, an extra second of silence is okay, because it also allows the client to see, yeah, that's it. I have nothing more to reflect on. Let's move to somewhere else. So I would first be comfortable with silence myself and acknowledge its power, and then let the space tell me when silence is enough, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much, really, for this informative, lengthy feedback. There is another issue relevant too, which is when the client himself or herself would tend to go to the easier solution, which is throw the ball into the lake of the coach to speak. He wouldn't bother thinking of the solution or processing even for the solution, and he's waiting in silence so that the coach would speak out and take the mic for himself. Yeah, well, thank you.
I mean, my response to that would be, it depends. If the client is trying to get you to for them, then when they throw me the ball, I throw it right back. I don't fall into, again, I'm not saying this is what I do. I'm saying this is what we challenge ourselves to do as coaches, is not fall into the trap of thinking that the only way I'm going to help the client or make them see the values by jumping in, reminding myself it's not about me. So throw the ball right back and maintain your own boundaries. Since we talked about boundaries of, I'm keeping in my space. I'm not going to allow the client to cling to me, and I'm not going to drag or carry the client, because that's not my role if we're in a partnership. That's one response. The other response is to get curious with the client around why are you really here? Because a lot of times we ourselves, we know we have a challenge. We're not really willing to do what it takes to solve the challenge, but we seek help to tick the box of I did all I do. I went to a coach. I even spoke to a coach, but they couldn't help me. I tried everything, including what, yeah, but am I really, really ready to move? Because a lot of times we know we have a challenge. We know we need to do something about it, but we're really not ready yet. And sometimes all it needs is for you to challenge that story is, are you really ready? What's really going on? Are you willing to do what it takes? What are you not seeing? And a lot of times I think, again, because a lot, and sometimes it's not none of that. Sometimes it's, we are used to being told what to do, especially certain personalities, so it's like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And one of the things we need to remind ourselves and clients of is, well, that's not what coaching is about. Coaching is about you discovering what it is you need to do. And my role is to challenge you to do that. But if I'm going to give you a solution, then how is that going to help you? So, لكل مقام مقال. I think every situation will have its own story. So what looks on the outside like the client not taking responsibility or not taking ownership of what they need to do, I dig deeper into the reason. And from there, your answer will come. That would be my response.
Thank you once again for your generosity. I'm really satisfied. And I leave the floor to others to question. Thank you, to ask questions.
Thank you. We should open the chat with Shana.
صوتك مش واصل يا شيماء.
Sorry. Before May has a question, I would share Adriana is saying, what a brilliant demo session, really powerful to hold the silence. Thank you. Sarah, thank you for an outstanding demo, lots of learning there. Amazed with the authenticity, presence, and witnessing your power of silence and learning a powerful, profound question of and question mark. Thanks, Rania and ICF for the opportunity. Thank you, sir. So, May?
Okay. Well, actually, I've been wondering when you started the session and you said this is going to take 40 minutes. I was like, okay, so how is she going to get to this in 40 minutes? And then when you finished in 25 minutes, I was honestly beyond impressed because I just started my coaching journey and my main challenge at this stage is the time thing. I'm always over time. I'm never on time, never ever on time. So I guess I take partially from your session. One thing is sometimes silence can support with the timing issue because your ants, for example, and your little words that came in just to give more depth to the discussion were actually quite intriguing because you got so much of input without saying too much. So I find that interesting. If you can say more on that, I'd be happy to hear. Thank you, Rania.
Thank you, May. First of all, I have to acknowledge that a large part of it, again, is meeting the client where they are. And I was very, very lucky to have Muhammad as a client because he, by nature, again, I know Muhammad. By nature, he's a reflective person. By nature, he already has a lot of self-awareness. Not every client will be this easy to just support. So I'm definitely owning all of it, but owning my part in it. I think where or tell me more, or what else is true, or do you really believe that? A lot of these, I wouldn't say they're questions even, they're just nudges, come from a place of seeing that the client is, for me, and this is my own personal experience, when you when you train yourself enough to be comfortable with silence in general, you're really in a space of reading the feet. And a lot of times the client has stopped talking, but you still see them reflecting, either their eyes. And I noticed a lot as Mohammed was speaking, his eyes were kind of, he was speaking, yes, but he was seeing, it's almost like he was seeing the boundaries, he was seeing the feet, he was seeing the green space, he was seeing how he would be. And noticing that allows me to then, it's almost like if someone's having a conversation with you and you see that they have more to say, so you just say, yeah, tell me more. Or what else? If I was going to say more about that relation, very much related to the competency that we talked about today, I'd just say, when you really listen to the silent space, it gives you a lot of answers, and not just to me, but to the client as well. The answers that come to the coach are what's really going on, what do you need to focus on? I mean, one of the things you may or may not have noticed is Mohammed said a lot of things. He threw in a lot of words, he mentioned a lot of I mean, we could have gone, and one of the challenges that we as coaches sometimes face is, which one of those words do I go after? Which one of those, like, there's so many areas to explore. I find silence also helps you kind of distill and help the client get to the core. Because yes, we could talk about his challenge with boundaries at the workplace from so many different levels. But when he really kind of got the noise out of the way, it was all about his ability to say no. In fact, his believing in his power to say no, and respecting his own space. But if I don't allow for the silence to show that, there's so many things that Mohammed said about his relationships. He threw in a lot of words, big words that as coaches we can easily start exploring. But then what's the real essence of his challenge? I think that's where silence helps. I don't know if I've answered you, May, but I kind of more have reflected on my I guess my learnings more than an answer. I don't really have an answer per se.
No, it wasn't a question. So I mean, I just wanted to hear your insights on it.
Thank you.
So we have Madiha was raising her hand. So you still have a question, Madiha?
Yes, dear. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you,
We'll get
Rania.
back to you, Karen. Yeah.
I want to ask Rania, can we challenge the goal in the beginning by having a SMART goal? And do you think the capability or ability for Mohammed to say no was a SMART goal for the session, or its need? Of course, definitely it needs more sessions, but to have, I'll say, the strong outcome of this session for changing Mohammed personally to say no, can we challenge Mohammed to have, I'll say, handful outcome of the session, if this is the SMART goal? The second thing, Mohammed said that he is afraid for his children, so they will not be able to say no, or he wants to teach his children to say no. So what Mohammed is suffering, that he is, can we dig deep in this area, that this matter is so important to Mohammed that he wants to transfer the learning for his children in this area. And thank you so much. I loved, Rania, what you said, that the silence is for the coach.
Maliha, you muted yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, I want to thank you for in the beginning you said the silence is not for us, it's for the coachee to have time with himself. Sometimes we don't have time for ourselves. We need time for ourselves to reflect and learn and think and decide and change. So it's all about the coaching. Thank you for the session. Really, it was really great session. Thank you so much. I learned a lot.
And if I add to your last comment, it's not just for the coach to sit, for the client to sit with themselves. I think a space where clients face themselves and look themselves in the mirror.
Yes.
Our role then is to make them face themselves truly. So see what's real, challenge what's unreal, challenge the story that you keep telling yourself, look at yourself. I mean, hold yourself accountable and big. That's true. If I go back to your questions, the first question, I guess, was about contracting. Would it be more profound or more useful to have a clearer contract at the beginning of the what the client wants to bring out at the end, and accountability, measures for success, everything that is part of, yes, in a real full coaching session, you probably would want to do a little more contracting, or a little more in-depth contracting into what is it exactly you want to achieve at the end of the session. I'm very aware that when I asked Mohammed we let it go at, I just want to find out why I'm having, and usually if this was a client offline, I probably wouldn't let it go at that. I want more, and I'd ask, so what if you found this out? How will it affect the quality of your life? To make sure that it is an important goal for the client to reflect on. Because this was a demo and it was about the power of silence more than anything else, I chose to let it go, with the intention that if, as we were exploring, we weren't really getting somewhere where it was clear where the issue really was for Mohammed, then I'd say, okay, I'd like to go back and ask you again. So I probably would stop halfway and say, okay, where are we now? What do we need to achieve by the end? But because Mohammed was so much in a space where he was figuring, and one of the things I really would like to say is, a lot of times as coaches, we believe we're not helping the client unless we are very aware of where the client is going with. But a lot of times the client doesn't have to tell me everything. I don't have to see exactly what's going on. I don't have to be, yes, I need the client to hold a goal. I need the client to come out of the session with a goal, with a clear action plan and accountability. But I don't have to get the answers from the client. They don't have to verbalize and articulate it all, as long as it's very clear that they have it in their hands. And you can easily coach a challenge where the client tells you almost nothing. So it's not about me having, I don't have to dig the words out of the client. A lot of it is about me remembering it's about me. Is the client getting more awareness? Yes. Is the client getting more clarity? Yes. Is the client in a space where they are generating learning space and moving forward space for themselves? Yes. So I don't have to hear it all from them. And that's what I was sensing from Mohammed, and his responses were telling me that. So that's my answer. And again, yes, I could have at the end said, okay, so what exactly are you accountable for on a scale from 1 to 10? How much are you accountable? What's going to make you keep going regardless? But again, I trusted the process, I trusted the time, and Mohammed is not someone I know from yesterday, so also trust that Mohammed will hold himself accountable. So yes, and these were my reasons, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Karen, I believe you had a question or a comment.
Salam alaikum, all of you. My clients are in the MENA area. I'm physically back in the US, but I'll be coming back to Saudi and Oman in the next couple of months. So this has been, and I missed your demo because it told me a different time zone from ICF, but this conversation is very rich. So something you said in response to one of the other questions just got me thinking. So I'm a PCC level coach and a mentor coach. And I remember early on in my training when I was still in ACC, and our local chapter showed the difference between an ACC, a PCC, and an MCC. It was so profound to notice the nuanced differences. And one of the things I got coached by my mentor coach was to avoid the phrase, tell me more. And instead say, like you said, what else? Ask a different question. And the reason is it brings it back to us. Tell me more. Because it's not about us, as you just said.
Or say more.
Or say more, yes. So it was a reminder that for me, that's always a buzz. Like, I really consciously avoid tell me more, because for exactly what you just said, they don't have to tell us anything as long as they're figuring it out and we're holding the space. So it's a bit of a, I'm playing a little bit of a challenging devil's advocate to you. You're at MCC, so I totally respect your training, believe me. But I just wanted your further thoughts on my comment.
Interesting. And honestly, my response to that is if you say tell me more from, it depends very much where the tell me more is coming from.
Of a curiosity, deep curiosity, or like, oh, I really want to know about this, like, you know. Yes.
And again, meeting the client where they are. So if the client is in a space, I mean, one of the competencies that's important for us as coaches is self-management. And what you do when you self-manage is you keep asking yourself, I mean, you have this balcony and dance with yourself where you're in the balcony asking yourself, where am I exactly? Am I with the client? Am I in the space? Am I in my head? Am I in my own insecurities? So if tell me more is coming from the space, then I won't even notice what I said. It's just like if you're presenting, there's a to-do list of how to present, but a real unconsciously competent presenter probably does a lot of things that by the book don't work. But when you're truly in the space, I mean, you can say, tell me more, but it's not even about you. The client is not even listening to you. They're in their own. So when you say, tell me more, all they're doing is reflecting more.
Yes.
I'd always take it back again to in the consciously competent state. Yes, tell me more is probably more about you. But in the unconsciously competent state, you're not even there, if that makes sense.
Great distinction. And I love the metaphor of in the balcony. I hadn't heard that before. Thank you.
On the balcony and in the dance, it's not a metaphor. It's Rob Heifetz. He's with the book Adaptive Leadership. So it's a concept taught by him. It's not my metaphor, to be clear. But it is one of the things that when we self-manage, we remind ourselves of. Is I'm in the dance as a coach, and I constantly need to have a self-management on the balcony reflection on myself.
Can you put that name in the chat? I'm a trained coactive coach, so we call it dancing in the moment. But
dancing in the moment, what's the coactive equivalent of on the balcony and in the dance? I'm not sure.
On the balcony would probably be more self-management, wouldn't it? I'm looking at my chart here. Yeah. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Lovely to meet you. I can't wait to watch the recording. I'm glad it was recorded. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Shayma, I'm not sure.
Question or feedback or insight or reflection? So we are done.
We are, I guess we are.
Thank you, Rania, for such incredible session. Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you for all the attendees. We have a lot and a lot of events. You can see it on the website and on other platforms. And there is a link here has been shared to be filled by you if you want to receive your certificate. Thank you again and have a wonderful and lovely evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What's the name of the YouTube channel? Is it ICF
It's Egypt? ICF Egypt chapter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And we can send it by email to all the attendees.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.